On behalf of Ms. Sharissa Edwards, we're going to discuss ethical and legal topics for cultural competency in leadership. An introduction to our cultural competency allows us to understand that leaders must address growing workplace cultural diversity. Cultural competency also ensures fairness and inclusion in leadership, and ethical leaders drive culturally responsible workplace conduct. Missteps may often result in legal and ethical violations, and administrators alike must also align behavior with global team needs. Additionally, ethical foundations in cultural leadership include the following. Ethical leadership respects values, rights, and dignity, and integrity and fairness guide diverse workplace decisions. Also, moral obligations extend beyond policy and compliance. Ethics involves awareness of cultural impacts on behavior, and ethical climate reduce cultural bias as well as discrimination. The legal obligations in culturally diverse teams. According to Title IX, it prohibits workplace religious discrimination, and the ADA often requires culturally sensitive disability accommodations. Leaders must also provide language access services, and compliance avoids lawsuits and federal investigations. Ethical neglect often can lead to legal consequences as well. Case study, for example, there's a religious accommodation conflict. For example, a Muslim nurse was denied prayer breaks at work. Another example is that a leader failed to adjust for cultural needs. It was a violation of the Title IX accommodation rights. And ethical oversight led to employee grievance filing. The inclusive policy could have prevented this conflict under the DEI. Another case study would include the language and consent issues. Patients sign consent form without translation service. It also caused harm occurred from misunderstood medical procedures and legal violations of informed consent standards. Ethical breach from ignoring communication barriers. Training reduces such legal risk, and that's why training is so essential. Ethical leadership and cultural intelligence. Now, cultural intelligence enhances ethical leadership effectiveness and efficiency. Leaders must navigate global team dynamics mindfully, and culturally aware leadership improves team behavior overall. High CQ, or cultural confidence and quality, reduces workplace misunderstandings and bias. Ethics and cultural quality promote inclusion in the diverse settings. Creating an ethically healthy organization. So, what do we do to do this? Culture of ethics, protest against discrimination and bias is a factor. Leaders must model and shape behavior to moralize and to normalize moral norms. Policies must reflect equity and inclusivity values. Transparency and accountability ensure ethical conduct, and preventative leadership minimizes future legal exposure. The class standards and compliance tools. Class supports culturally competent service and leadership. Standards guide language, care, and inclusivity practices. Federal tools help to meet equity and access goals. Adoption aligns leadership with legal expectations, and leaders integrate class into their workplace strategy. Challenges in cultural competency implementation. These include bias and resistance, which hinder cultural inclusion efforts, resource gaps that slow policy and enforcement and training, ethical gray areas create decision making dilemmas, and a lack of cultural knowledge breeds legal vulnerability. Leaders need continuous learning to stay compliant. Leadership recommendations and solutions. You must also lead with transparency, empathy, and cultural sensitivity. Create inclusive policies with legal review processes. Mandate ethical leadership, quality insurance training, and also apply class standards to organizational procedures. Evaluate performance through ethical behavioral lenses. Any questions? Here's some references here so that you all may see and pull some of the resources to be able to support this type of conversation. Have a great day, everyone.